time for Coffee on the Coast. Good afternoon. Grab your cup. Welcome. Thanks for joining us to this episode of Coffee on the Coast. I'm your host, Tina Prigge. And look who's joining me today. It's Tim Gadzinski from the Manitowoc Public Library and the ever sparkly, ever effervescent Barb Bundy-Jost. Welcome to Coffee on the Coast, you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I'm not nearly as effervescent as Barb, but I'm glad to be here.
I'm sorry I didn't use as flowery terms with your introduction, Tim.
That's okay. I don't deserve flowery terms. I'm wearing a flannel shirt. Come on, it would have seemed like a weird juxtaposition.
I mean, Barb does have a sparkly Santa hat and
I do.
I'm
wearing the tree already. So
holy cow, I have no visuals. I'm
totally in the season. And you know what, Barb? I just have to breeze through some of these amazing photos we have of you. Like this.
Oh.
This is also Barb by some aluminum Christmas trees. I love it. Barb, one of my favorites, holding a color wheel. And you guys are probably going to talk about all of this, so I shouldn't spoil it with all of my favorite photos. But here's Barb surrounded by the forest of Evergleams at the Manitowoc Public Library. What I really want to know more about too, Barb, is this ham display, a Christmas ham display. You have to tell us more. And also with these aluminum baubles that can go on the trees. So much to talk about.
Tina, do you have that terrifying picture of Barb and Jordan? By any chance?
Barbie and Ken?
Barbie and Ken, where their heads were superimposed onto branches.
They know.
No,
Oh,
that sounds terrifying.
Okay. She's all right,
guess
Miss
it's
Tina.
the stuff of nightmares, but it's also a funny nightmare.
Well, somebody should share it with me so I can share it.
Okay, I can do that.
But we were talking about Evergleams at the Manitowoc Public Library. This is from a number of years ago. Let's dig right in because I'm just going to show, I absolutely love Evergleams, right? So I've got all these photos that go way back. Let's talk about the upcoming Evergleam display. This is the Enchanted Evergleams at Manitowoc Public Library starting November 23rd. Is that the same night as the Lakeshore Holiday Parade?
Absolutely.
Cool. Yep. Tell us more. What do people need to know?
Complete coincidence. It's weird how that worked out.
Yeah. No, it's just kind of fitting. It's kind of the spark plug that gets the sparkle going.
Yep. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Could you use spark in that sentence one more time?
No.
Okay.
I could spark. Yeah.
But so we've got Evergleams, and so this is going to be the whole forest of Evergleams again, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all the collection of one person, Francine Pfeffer Guyette, brings everything in and sets up the library, with the exception of a few wonderful things that have been generously donated for this season's exhibit. So
and this is in the main area of the library. People can just walk in.
You bet. You bet.
And starts the night before Thanksgiving, so coordinated with the holiday parade. How long is this exhibit up?
Until January 8th.
Yep.
So we go into
It's
2023. Yeah, it's a good amount of time. I mean, if you want to spend some family time and really enjoy the warmth and sparkle of the holiday, you have to hit the Manitowoc Public Library. And while you're on the way, make sure you check out all the trees in those area businesses that have gotten involved, and they are wonderful. Some of them are already lit and ready to go. So even as you're traveling down the street, especially A Street and Washington Street, on up the north side, we go all the way up to Cleveland Avenue this year. So it is, it's just a lot.
Are those all part of Frankie's Forest collection too, or are those different?
No, these are, we have other collectors that come in, like Steve Sear, who really is the brain behind this whole exhibit. And then Kathy Carl and Jordan Cabot and myself are collectors that donate their trees to the cause as well. As a matter of fact, Jordan, Kathy, and I started a not-for-profit called Manitowoc Aluminum Kitschmas Incorporated, or MACI for short. And, we just felt that maybe young people in our community are not aware of what was happening in this town 60 years ago and beyond. And we thought it was time that people kind of see what happened here and all the wonderful innovations when it comes to aluminum. So we started a not-for-profit with the intention to not only bring the wonder of all the things that were created here to the masses, but also someday perhaps have an aluminum museum that we can share every day of the year, almost,
Yeah.
except for
Hey,
holidays.
Barb and Tim, Kay Blatz is asking, is there a map online or somewhere where that, lists all of the locations where the trees can be viewed? Great
The
question,
map,
Kay.
the map will be available online next week at evergleams.org, or every business that has a tree in the window will have a map also, and the library will have all kinds of maps.
Yeah, we'll have tons of them here starting next week.
And did
Right.
you say evergleams.org?
Yes.
Okay,
That's
great.
it.
So
Okay.
evergleams.org starting next week, or of course at the Manitowoc Public Library or any of the participating businesses.
Right. Right.
Any
Exactly.
idea how many total trees are going to be on display?
Hundreds.
Hundreds. I mean, at the library, I would say there's probably 50 or 60 at the library, maybe
Well,
even a
I'd
little
say
bit more.
we're up 70 or so.
Yeah.
I mean, the library has the big behemoth that was donated this year that hasn't been seen in Manitowoc since it was made.
What?
Yeah,
Tell
this
us
is
more. Tell
fantastic.
us
And I'm
more.
just going to jump in here because I
Yeah.
remember when this actually first came up, and it was during the pandemic. So it's another silver lining, ironically, to the pandemic tale. We were doing Barb's Sparkle presentation, which is the history of the aluminum trees. And she gives a lot of great trivia and just really factual knowledge about the trees. And people around the country are watching it. People around it's become more of people checking in from around the world, actually. And people were checking in California, Oregon, upstate New York, and then these two sisters from Kansas jumped in and they said hi. And they're like, well, we have a 14-foot tall tree that our dad got. And I remember that coming up, and I remember stopping whatever Barb was talking about to say, hey, someone just checked in with a 14-foot tree. And actually everyone was kind of incredulous. And it was like, well, if there is a 14-foot tree, I'd love to see it. The next day they called the library. I got their contact information, passed it along to Barb. Long story short, a couple months ago, they drove this 14-foot custom-made tree up from Kansas in a Prius and donated it to Maki, to the Manitowoc Aluminum Kitchmas Incorporated. And they're wonderful. The two sisters are wonderful. But
they're delightful.
This 14-foot tree is really, I mean, I already think of our display at the library, of what Barb puts up, kind of like as the crown in the glittering jewel that is Evergleams on 8th. But this is the crown jewel in the crown. I mean, you walk in and that is the first thing you will see is this 14-foot tree will greet you.
So this is the biggest tree. And before that, what was it, like an 8-foot tree that was the largest one?
It's 10, right?
Yeah, we'll have that too.
Wow.
That'll be also. But this one is.
In all of your research, did you know that there was even a 14-foot out there?
Well, we knew there's a 14 and there is an 18 that was made back in the day, but this was a special order for an automotive industry trade show. And they were offering the trees to retail spaces across the country. And the story is that the girl's dad went up and said, well, how much for the tree? And they said, well, $500. And he said, too rich for my blood. This is back in 60, 65, 62, early 60s. And several years later, they contacted him and asked if he'd take it for $50 because he had a store that would accommodate a 14-foot tree. Nobody else did. And as a matter of fact, when they brought it, as Kathy, Jordan, and I, we run this whole show, and Jordan, we all get excited, right? We're all having a heart attack. We pull out the branch. The branch is 4 feet long. So it is 8 feet in diameter. It is just a beautiful big tree.
Is it aluminum color, pink, green?
It's a
silver, right?
long needle fountain. So it's very rare because when they make custom trees, they're usually straight needle trees. So this is very rare. So it's very much like that, but big, very big. It's got a longer needle, which we were amazed.
It's so cool when you think of how long ago these were produced and that you are still discovering new ones and that there's still, that the forest is continuing to grow is amazing.
Right. I mean, we were putting peacock trees up at Custom Health right next to Subway, and this elderly couple was walking into Subway and said, I know we have one in the attic somewhere. And we're like, what color? Oh, I think it's silver. Well, what kind? How big is it? I don't know. It's been up there for decades. I don't really know. And I'm like, get that thing out and find us or put it up. I mean, it will make your day sparkle. I know we have a 7-foot gold peacock, very rare, that one of the guys I used to work with at the Manitowoc Public School District saw me donating stuff to a church rummage sale, and he said, hey, the neighbor died and her son gave me the tree for my Christmas in July party about 30 years ago. Do you want to put that on display? And I said, what have you got? I don't know. It's gold. It's flat. It's an aluminum specialty tree. And I'm okay. I'm coming over. We'll put that thing up. And again, just tucked away in the basement attic. I don't know where it was, but how phenomenal, because those are rare. I mean,
it's amazing. Rare. So, and so what's going to be on display, like the trees that are at the library, range from all sizes, right? Like we've got the tiny ones that you see in the picture here, all the way up to now this 14-foot one that you were talking about.
Right on. All the rarest of the rare. If you want to see what aluminum specialty made, we have posters from their 1962 catalog. We have representation of every tree they probably ever made. There are outdoor trees that are on display. There are Supremes that are on display, pink, green, gold. The blue frost, which I'm kicking my heels up in the picture that you showed, that little blue frost came in 2, 4, 6, 8 feet. I mean, it's just beautiful. And so all of those will be on display, along with some promotional materials that we didn't know even existed until Fran, she finds these wonderful things and puts them on display for all to see. You can see partnerships between Corning and Evergleam with the ornaments. You can see the Armor ham. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Tell us about this Christmas Armor Star ham display.
Well, they must have given a tree away when you bought a ham 60 years ago. And if I would have been old enough, I would have had ham to this day, because I would have bought as much ham as I could get my hands on to get a tree. So it must have been a promotional thing. Buy so much ham, you get a box with a 2-foot Evergleam in it.
Like, so one of the small ones, right?
It's a small one. It's like, this is a 2-footer.
Yeah.
It fits in and it wasn't Evergleam because it's the same darn box, except it says Armor on the top. So I know. Yeah.
Amazing.
And I'm a vegetarian, but I'd buy ham.
There's just not enough incentive to hoard ham anymore. There really
is not. No.
We need to bring that back.
Hello.
I'll talk to our new executive director about offering some sort of library incentive for ham hoarding. I'll see what I can do.
What's cool, viewers, about the aluminum Christmas trees is that these were all manufactured in Manitowoc during the space age.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, one of the things I love is not only are they beautiful and kitschy and just wonderful, it's also historic. And it's also historic specifically to our little town on Lake Michigan. You know, and it was like a lot of things born out of necessity. They didn't know what to do with all the aluminum that they had used as, what is it called, Barb? Chuff.
The stuff they sprinkled in the airways during World War II.
During World War II to throw off a radar.
Right.
Out of that, they had so much, and they had an open space, and out of that, something wonderful happened.
2 engineers.
Christmas miracle.
Right. They were repurposing before it was cool. I mean, they worked locally. Weyerhaeuser did all of the boxes. The Algoma Dowel Company gave the dowels. They contributed the dowels. And then the 2 engineers that came up with this, actually, this is a scaled down version of what was previously created so that it could be packed easily, stored easily, and really mobility. They could move it easily. So, but the things they come up with, the flat tree, because, you know, I don't have room for a fat tree. And then the slimline, who would have thought of putting a tree on a diet and making it narrower so it could fit in a smaller footprint? So, I mean, it is just, every time we turn around, there's something that is kind of spectacular and innovative. And it just makes me think that those creative minds were
Yeah.
free to really run.
Oh, yeah, and that the elegance of that engineering solution strikes me every year as being just so amazing, in that all the branches are the same length,
Right.
and that the dowel holes are cut at different depths to make it look like a tree. That is just,
Yeah.
I wish I had a single idea as good as that. Because that is just such a out there, outside the box, genius idea for how you can turn something that doesn't look like a tree into a tree.
Well, even the
It's a glittering
packaging.
marvel.
You know
Yeah.
what we love every year, if you can hear this, that shush. But just how they put this packaging to maintain those branches for 60 plus years, and you just put it in a little paper tube and you tap it. You never want to push the tip down, and you have storage. So all of this fits in this tiny little box, which is amazing. And
Yeah.
so that to me, but this is just, we were doing this the other day and people were standing around at the library saying, oh, whenever I hear that sound, I get all excited because I know what's coming. So
Yeah. It's almost like the equivalent of hearing jingle bells and Santa's
Right.
coming. You hear that
Oh,
shush
yeah.
sound and the aluminum
Shush.
Christmas trees. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
magic.
We're
you know,
so
I-
fortunate here, I think, to have them on display at the library and then all throughout downtown. It's incredible. It's beautiful. It's sparkly, and it's so unique. There is no place else in the world that you can see this display of Evergleams.
Yeah.
Well, they're coming from all over. They're coming from New York, Chicago, Iowa, Denver. We're having visitors this year, and it's going to be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just not a day trip. There will be heads in beds, and they will
Exactly.
be around town, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, that is so cool. And just a little heads up, there is a video, Barb, of you coming out next week on the Coolest Coast talking about the Evergleams. So stay
is that from
tuned.
last?
Yeah, stay tuned for that.
Holy cow.
I know.
Knew that was going to be happening. And also I want to point out in addition to the Evergleams at the library, I'll speak about the library because really that's why I'm here. It's not because of my hair, although it is fascinating, but is that we have a lot of period ephemera from Miro that is that the Manitowoc County Historical Society lent to the library and Maki for this display. There's and Barb, I believe, in addition to that, has a very special toy, I guess you'd call it, that's going to be on display as well. Yeah, is it okay to break the news here?
Oh, sure. Because I've been
Why don't
waiting
you
for
do
that.
it? It's your news. You should tell it.
Well, I have been waiting to find this almost as long as I've been waiting to find my pink aluminum 2-foot tree. I waited 20 years for that, and it came around last year. And I got to save up now because that costs some money. But anyway, Miro Aluminum made a space helmet. And I've been looking for that since Sputnik Fest. They made a space helmet in the 1950s for children, and it is the coolest thing. And my friend Kathy Carl contacted me. She said, "Is this what you're looking for?" And I was like, "Yes." So it's missing the antenna, but I think I've got a solution, and we'll be having that on display at the library as well.
Yeah.
But it is hip and happening, and it is the coolest thing.
Yeah.
This side of
the whole thing is amazing. I love how it's evolved. Like, we've been doing this is the 5th or 6th year it's been at the library.
It's got to be since 2017.
Yeah. So 5 years, and every
5
year
years.
it just continues to grow, and there's always new great things. This year also, I should point out, Barb is setting up a couple of selfie stations specifically.
Yeah.
And that's those are going to be kitsch-tastic as well. And we're putting up a couple tripods so that you don't have to worry about bringing your own selfie stick or anything. We're going to have so you can put your phone in it and get good selfies. Plus, there's a whole living room area that isn't officially a selfie spot, but it is a great photo op spot.
Yeah.
So
We'll have those-
that
we'll
you
have-
too could look so awesome in front of the Evergleams,
Right.
as cool as Barb Bundy-Jost.
Would it be wrong to suggest people bring hams to take pictures as part of their selfies as well?
Feel free to dress up. I love dress up. Get in here. If you want to look vintage, put your vintage on. Fur coats, that coat I was wearing in the one picture where I was kicking, that was my mother's leopard coat. So I dragged that out at the holiday just to bring Kathleen back into the mix because she would love it. But
Nice.
dress up. Bring on the vintage clothing and have a seat and take a picture with these wonderful, marvelous trees. I mean, Fran loves it when people smile and just have a good time. And that's why she comes in and really dolls up the library for the holiday. And really what a great place to be. More people come through the door than anywhere else. And they're such great people to work with. And
it's so awesome to see everyone coming into the library and how, I mean, they're magical. The trees really are magical. They're transformative. You know, you might walk in being a little grumpy, but you know, you can't hold on to grumpiness around these trees. I mean, sometimes I myself, I will confess, get a little grumpy throughout the day at the library, perhaps. And when I leave to go home at night and I see those trees, I go out of my way to see them. It's breathtaking and it's special. And I'm so glad that Barb, approached us.
Yeah. And that's such a good word that you use to describe it too, Tim. It really is special. This isn't something that anyone can just go out and purchase and pick up and find. This collection has been amassed carefully and from far and wide over, a number of years, preserving that history. This is special.
Yeah. And at night, it goes beyond special. At night, it's just, it literally takes your breath away at the same time, not in a bad way, not like drowning, in a good way. You're drowning in sparkle. And so that is, I believe, healthy to drown in sparkle, but it soothes.
Well, and it's kind of a wonderland. It's a whole different wonderland. It's just when you drive by and you see some of the trees have rotating color wheels. Some are just lit with spotlights because they are so very glorious at night when they're lit up, and they are just, maybe there's a little air flow in the building and you can see the branches just kind of move a little bit, and it's just kind of a fun experience. I know I went around last night just to see if the lights were on, make sure that everything was working all right, and everything looked really good. So we do that during the holiday just to make sure
it's just starting to get set up.
Bulbs.
There may be, 7 to 10 trees set up right now. And what's funny, they're also magnetic. People are, not literally, but figuratively, people are drawn to them. There were some young ladies that were downstairs, and I think they had to be probably high school age. They seemed kind of high today. And the trees are there are a couple of them and they're not lit up or anything. And they were sitting at the table. There were tons of tables open in the center of the library. And there were like 6 of them all crammed at one table, looking at the Evergleams and doing what they were doing. But, they were drawn to the Evergleams. And it's just, I don't know. It's one of my favorite things. I've known Barb for decades, from when we were both much younger. And I love working with her, period. But like this is something that just is beyond. And every year I look forward to it. And the day it comes down.
That's when winter really sets in. That's when it's like suddenly the door.
Thank goodness Great Decision starts 3 weeks later, or I would have nothing to distract me until the snow melted. And I love Great Decisions too. It's a completely different ball of wax. But man, when the trees come down that first day, I'm just like, I'm despondent. Aww. People should not talk to me on the 9th of January. I'm putting that out there now.
Okay, so make sure, viewers, that you work it into your schedule to drive downtown, visit the library. It is so beautiful. You will not regret it. You will be very happy. And you guys, what is Evergleamaganza?
Ooh.
Oh my goodness. How much time do we have?
30 seconds, go. No.
Okay, briefly and broadly stated, and Barb, you can jump in and cut me off at any time. Evergleamaganza and Evergleam Extravaganza is a fundraiser that's being held at the Manitowoc Public Library on Saturday, December 10th from 6 to 9 p.m. That is going to be benefiting the Manitowoc Aluminum Kitschmas Incorporated and Friends of Manitowoc Public Library. And it is the fundraiser to end all fundraisers.
Right. It's a Rat Pack party.
It is a Rat Pack party, which is it's late 1950s, early 1960s kitsch taken to the max. The Crowned Imperials, a great jazz band, will be playing throughout the evening. Period appropriate finger food. Any type of beverage you want, non-alcoholic or alcoholic. The trees themselves, you will be getting to mix and mingle with aluminum tree glitterati that evening. There's a special buy-in for a trolley tour with Barb and Jordan as your guides. Barb, jump in, take over.
We also have an auction. There will be an auction. We have a 6-foot and a 2-foot evergreen tree that we have procured, and we have an evening with the collectors as part of the auction. So we have 3 wonderful items on auction, but you'll get to meet the collectors. Fran will be there to talk about her trees. Steve will be there to talk about his trees. We're going to have the McCoy sisters who donated the 14-foot tree. Suzanne, who's got the 10-foot tree, will be there. We also
Some
have
people that are working the line, right, too, are going to be there.
Yeah, Theron Georges from Houston, he donated a whole slew of trees to Mackey, and he's written 2 books on aluminum trees. He's a spark. We've got some real great people who are going to be there rubbing elbows and really be able to answer all your questions. We've got vintage catalog pages blown up poster size so you can really get the inside scoop on the tree that you might have nesting somewhere in a family attic or basement. We've got all kinds of fun things going on at that Evergleamaganza. And I just think it's going to be a great way to kick off your holiday.
Yeah. And just remember, this isn't a regularly sized vaganza. This is extra vaganza. This vaganza has more vaganza than any other vaganzas that are happening in the area.
It's just dress up.
December.
Fun vintage dress up. You know, I am Barbie, so we like to dress up. So
yeah, and people are encouraged to dress up.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah. So we're going to have a good time.
Yeah.
Oh, it sounds fantastic. Okay, so if somebody wants to attend, they go to evergleams.org/Evergleamaganza to purchase tickets. Can you say how much the tickets are?
$50 each.
$50 each.
$50, and you get 3 hours of hip happening fun, food, beverage, everything included except the trolley tours.
The trolley tours, an additional $25 buy-in for the exclusive trolley tour with Barb and Jordan. And when Barb brought up the auction, just so you know, it's not a huge auction. Those are the 3 items in the auction. We're keeping it very specific and targeted. There's not a silent auction. It's just a madman style cocktail party to kick off the holiday season amidst the splendor of the Evergleams. Decorating for this one is very easy.
Coast. Isn't this the most amazing place in the world to be?
It is.
You guys are awesome.
I mean, no doubt.
It's gotta be fun, you know. Why not?
Yeah, what is your saying, Barb? If it ain't fun, it
doesn't get done. Right.
That is awesome. Well, thanks you guys for joining us today to talk about the Evergleams on display, Evergleamaganza, for bringing the Christmas spirit and the history of Manitowoc to life. It's so cool. Keep up the great work, you guys.
Oh, well, thank you. You too. I mean, and thank you for having us on here. The work you guys do to spread the word how cool the coolest coast is, admirable. Admirable with a capital A.
I concur.
If my spelling does not fail,
I do.
No. It's amazing. Thank you so much, Tina.
Nice. My guests today have been Barb Bundy-Jost and Tim Gadzinski. Make sure you check out the Evergleams on display at Manitowoc Public Library from November 23rd through January 8th. And then the Madman style Evergleamaganza. It's more of a ganza than you could ever hope for. An extreme Extreme Evergleam event, Saturday, December 10th. Tickets are at evergleams.org. So much fun, you guys. Thank you. We'll look forward to seeing you throughout the Evergleam forest.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right.
Come
Thanks for
wander
watching
about
Coffee
with
on the Coast. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.